What's up, everybody? I'm a teleworker, and today we're going to be looking at 8 actors that I want to join the MCU. I'll probably be doing more parts for this, and I'll probably do a series like this for the DC universe as well. Some of these are ones that are pretty popular, and some of them are not. Starting at number 1, we have Andrew Lincoln from The Walking Dead as either Mr. Fantastic or there are rumors going around right now that he is in talks for Magneto with whatever Marvel is doing with that character now that they've acquired it from Fox. Um, Weirdly enough, I think he's oddly fitting for both of these characters, which is a really uh, they're drastically different characters, so it's strange to think that he could play both. But I genuinely think he could do a great job as either one. But we'll start with Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Fantastic is a very stoic and serious and kind of level headed character. A lot of the times he's very dry. He has some comedy moments, but usually where he stands out the most is as a leader. He has this kind of gravitas of, like just the way he carries himself, the way he talks, and I think that Andrew Lincoln has shown time and time again through The Walking Dead that he can play those leader type characters very well. Um, he carries a lot of power in his voice. He has a very powerful voice when he's yelling and things like that. It really um, conveys his emotion very well. And what I like a lot about Andrew Lincoln is that not only is he a good, like, serious type actor, but he's also a very good emotional actor.
You can do it right in front of me. You can take my hands. I told you already, I'm gonna kill you. All of you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. But nothing is gonna change that nothing.
A lot of actors, they kind of get stuck in one barrel where they play like just a funny guy, or they play just a straight man, or they play just emotional roles. And throughout The Walking Dead, we've seen Andrew Lincoln show range in all of those categories. And I would really, really enjoy him as Mr. Fantastic. Of course, somebody else, could obviously play any of these characters. There's a lot of great actors out there. But I think that he would be very fitting for Mr. Fantastic. And I would love to see some type of scene similar to in Rise of the Silver Surfer. There's a scene where Reed sticks up for himself and kind of shuts up this egotistical general. It kind of puts things into perspective. Like, you're like, wow, you know what? Reed is kind of a badass. And I would love to see a scene like that with the intensity that Andrew Lincoln is capable of bringing to a lot of the characters that he plays. He is so good. But at the same time, these Magneto rumors are very interesting because it's not even close to the person that I would have picked, but damn it, he would be good. All right, so moving on to number 2. This one's probably going to throw a lot of people off, but hear me out. Shia LaBeouf as Gambit. Now, Gambit is a big part of like the 90s X-Men lineup, and a lot of people really like his character. He's, kind of this southern badass character. He throws like playing cards and shit at people, and he just looks really cool and smooth and kind of suave. And he marries Rogue in the comics, and he's a very interesting character. But the reason I think that Shia LaBeouf would be good in this role is because he has this incredible amount of range. He's played a lot of funny, kind of over the top characters that are like really awkward and geeky. He's played a lot of very serious characters that are very emotional. Um, and he's played a lot of intimidating characters as well in a lot of the recent films that he's made. And I think that he would make a really good Gambit. I think, play up that southern accent a little bit and just let him run with it. I think he could give a great performance as this character. I'm sure there's other characters in the Marvel Universe that he could also slip into. But for whatever reason, anytime I think of Shia LaBeouf as a Marvel character, my brain immediately goes to Gambit. And a lot of people, I'm sure, probably only really familiar with him from Holes and Transformers because that's what he's most known for. But if you have not seen Fury or Honey Boy, I would strongly encourage you to go watch those. Those are two very emotional performances from Shia LaBeouf. He does a great job in both of those. I would really like to see Shia LaBeouf kind of have a redemption as an A-list actor, similar to how Marvel gave a second chance to Robert Downey Jr. after he had a lot of struggles with his addiction and he completely destroyed his whole public image. No one wanted to work with him. And then all of a sudden, he was sober for a while, pulled himself together, and he became Iron Man. And Iron Man was the building block for the entire MCU. And I think that they could easily cast Shia LaBeouf as a far less important character for the universe than Iron Man was. If they were willing to take that risk with Iron Man, I think they could easily do it with Gambit. I don't think it's that outlandish to think Shia LaBeouf could be this character because we've seen Disney give people second chances before. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Comment down below. Do you think he'd be a good fit for Gambit? Would you rather see him as a different character? Do you have any other ideas for him? Or do you hate him? All right, so number 3, another weird one, is Leonardo DiCaprio as Mephisto. DiCaprio has shown so much range throughout his career, but in recent years, he started to show a darkness in some of his portrayals that we hadn't really seen before. And specifically in Django Unchained, he gives one of the best villain performances ever.
Hey! Lay your palm flat on that tabletop. If you lift those palms off that turtle shell tabletop, Mr. Pooch is gonna let loose with both barrels that sawed off. There have been a lot of lies said around this dinner table here tonight, but that you can't believe.
There's so much tension in that shit, you could practically cut the air in front of your TV when you watch it. Like, it's so intense, and I would love to see somebody who has the range to flip on a dime like that play a character like Mephisto. Especially after seeing Peter Fonda as the character in the original Nicolas Cage Ghost Rider.
The crowds screaming, chanting, Johnny, Johnny, Johnny.
The kind of intimidating scenes where they shifted from his like human form into like his demon form just a little bit in Ghost Rider 1. I think scenes like that with DiCaprio would be fucking nightmare fuel, especially with the intensity that he carries. And I would just, I would kill to see him as Mephisto. I think that he would kill that shit, honestly. Like, I think he would steal the whole movie. Comment down below what you guys think of that one. I know it's a little strange. A lot of people won't be on board with it. But if you have not seen Django Unchained, go watch that movie. But don't watch it with kids, because it is very fucked up. It is a Tarantino film, so it does not pull any punches. There is nudity, there's blood, there's violence, there's all kinds of horrible shit in that movie. There's a lot of racism because it takes place in the past during slavery, and it's a very rough movie, but it's very, very powerful, and his performance in it is phenomenal. Moving on to number 4, Norman Reedus as Ghost Rider. Now, this is a very on-the-nose one. A lot of people have been fan casting this for years, and Norman Reedus himself has said he would love to play the character. It's a fan favorite. For most of the fans, it seems, Norman Reedus has proven himself time and time again as a badass action actor, and especially seeing in Walking Dead him play that more kind of southern badass that rides the motorcycle. And there's literally a part in Walking Dead where he kills a zombie by picking up a chain and swinging it like Ghost Rider. Uh, I just think his entire aesthetic throughout his whole career really lends itself to that character. With his love of those types of characters, I think that he would be very fitting for it. Moving on to number 5. This is kind of an underrated one. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have thought of this before, but I would love to see Joe Keery from Stranger Things play the Human Torch. Um, I think that his over the top personality that we see in Stranger Things, especially in I think it's season 3 when he works at the ice cream shop. Uh, he is absolutely hilarious, and I think that style of humor would really lend itself to the MCU. And I also think that that personality would bond very well with Tom Holland's Spider-Man if they choose to have Peter and Johnny Storm be friends like they are in the comics. I think that would be they would play off each other very well. I think that would be very funny.
Henderson. Henderson. He's back. He's back. I'm back. You got the job. You got the job. Yay! Oh.
How many children are you friends with?
Those types of characters are great because you get to see an actor's like entire range. You go from like this whiny, angry, dickhead person to this really lovable and charming and funny and charismatic character. Somewhere right in the middle of that is where Human Torch lies. He's very egotistical, he's very obnoxious, but he's also a really nice guy and he's very caring, but he's still very funny. He likes to crack his jokes. He's a sarcastic dick, kind of like Spider-Man. He likes to fuck with people. And I think that Joe Keery could pull that off very easily. I think he would just slip right into that role and it'd be perfect. What do you guys think of Joe Keery as Human Torch? I know everybody has somebody they want as Human Torch. I've seen a ton of fan casts for that character. And most of them are good. I would honestly be fine with like 90% of the fan casts that I've seen with Human Torch. Anyways, moving on. Number 6 is Steven Yeun from The Walking Dead. I know there's a lot of Walking Dead people on here. Glenn from The Walking Dead. He's also a Korean actor. And he's done quite a few movies here, and he's currently voice acting in the Invincible series on Amazon Prime as the main character. And I think that he would be very fitting for Mr. Negative from the Spider-Man comics. He's an Asian supervillain. He's kind of a tragic villain, especially if you go with the PS4 version of him. He's a very tragic character. And I would really like to see Steven Yeun play a villain. If you guys haven't seen Burning, there is a Korean film called Burning where Steven Yeun plays kind of a villainous type character. It's like a suspense type film. But he plays it very well. And again, because he was on Walking Dead for so long, we got to see pretty much all of his range as an actor, except for the villain side. That has been shown in his other stuff outside of Walking Dead, but I think that he could start as a very likable person, similar to how Doc Ock is in Spider-Man 2 and things like that. It would be a character that you care about, so that when he has his villainous turn, you don't really like want him to lose. You know what I mean? Like you want him to stop being evil, but you don't want to see him get hurt anymore. And those are always the best villains. Mr. Negative is very much one of those characters. He's a very tragic guy, and he leads a group of people called the Demons that wear like creepy masks. And I think that would be really cool, especially with Marvel moving in a more mature direction with Spider-Man now. I think that would be a very fitting villain to kind of kick off this new Spider-Man trilogy with college Peter Parker. Another character that I think that Steven Yeun could slip very easily into is Namor. Namor is a very kind of dry character. Not a lot of people really know Namor, and a lot of people who know Namor don't really like him, to be honest. But I think that Stephen Yeun would be able to bring the intensity of Namor while also bringing enough fresh personality to it that it would be exciting for new and old fans. Uh, like I said, Stephen Yeun has a lot of range. His intensity really carries a lot of the projects that he's involved with. So what do you guys think of these two characters? Which one would you rather see him as of these two, and do you think he'd be good for either? Comment down below. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on all of these. Moving on to number 7, we have Chosen Jacobs as Miles Morales. Chosen Jacobs is a fairly new actor. He was in the It movies, and he's very good in those. I think that he'd be very fitting for this character. He's definitely got the look. I think that he showed a fairly decent amount of range in the It movies, and I kind of like the idea of a smaller actor that's not this massive personality yet stepping into this role. Similar to how Tobey Maguire didn't really have much of a presence in Hollywood before he became Spider-Man. I really like those kind of stories. Seeing somebody grow as an actor, as a character grows with them, is really cool. And I think that he could do a pretty good job if he was given the chance. All right, moving on. Number 8, this is kind of a weird one, but I think that it would work pretty well, is Jason Segel as the Thing. Jason Segel is from How I Met Your Mother and a few other comedy projects from the early 2000s. He was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, which is a pretty funny movie, and his character Marshall in How I Met Your Mother has a ton of range throughout the series. Obviously, a lot of the angry scenes are played up to be funny, but he has proven himself to be a very good actor, and he is very funny. He's very charismatic. I think if they did something like the old Fantastic Four movies where he kind of has this funny back and forth relationship with Human Torch where they kind of make fun of each other, I think that that would work really well with somebody like Jason Segel. He plays very well off of other actors. He fits very well into different types of comedy. I just think he could bring a lot of fun to the character of the Thing. And that's going to be the last one on my list for today. There will probably be a part 2 of this eventually when I think of more actors and more characters, or maybe more actors for these characters. And I plan on eventually doing a podcast episode where we break down an entire Fantastic Four cast on what we would like to see, and we're going to base those off of the rumored people for it and also just random actors that we want. So that'll be a little more in-depth for the Fantastic Four characters specifically. And then I'm also planning on making one of these videos for the DC universe as well, so you guys can hear a few more of my opinions on other characters. And that one might be interesting to a lot more of you because there's going to be a lot more lesser known characters on my DC one than there will be on the Marvel one, because Marvel's finally starting to use a lot of their lesser known characters. However, DC really is not. Their movies have been very mediocre in terms of introducing other characters. So yeah, comment down below, what do you guys think of these characters? Who would you like to see play these characters? And like the video if you want to see more. To subscribe to the channel. Every subscriber helps. I would really love to do this as a full-time job. Eventually, I'm doing this at the same time as a full-time job, so it's very difficult to find the time. Thank you guys so much for your support, and I'll see you later.